and Transport. It's an international company. It goes for inter-countries. However, for example, in our domain, we have too much of cybersecurity attacks, vulnerabilities, so critical to our work. So, from that, I inspired the topic, which is pen test your own network in order to be safe and secure. Okay, and I get the topic. I gave the title to the topic, which is the test your own network for sysadmin. In fact, it's not only for sysadmin. It might go for IT securities, IT networks, IT administrators, system administrators too, because the tools that will be used and the concepts can be different domain. Okay. Do you see the screen? Hello? Uh, okay. So the main title of this presentation is how to test your own network for sysadmin. But as I said, it's a valve for IT security, for networks, network administrator too. So in this presentation, we're gonna talk about the pen testing, what is pen testing, how it's works, why it is important pen testing, what's an intrusion, the attacks vectors, the tools that we can use in order to make pen test. And we're gonna finish that by a lab or demo recall. Okay? And in the final, it will be a useful links for learning the pen test. I hope you are seeing the screen. Okay. See. So I'm going to put this on this. Oh, this presentation will take for more. No. I guess it's better like that. Share the screen. Well, خلاص. Oh, so there is the yes. It's there is a summary. Can I explain how this presentation is going? And final at the end, some useful link for learning the methods, and of course, takes and questions. So, first of all, what's Pinterest? Or a little bit of an introduction to the Pinterest. Well, Pinterest is how a system administrator use his network and find the critical problems and patch them. So a pirate or a hacker can't use them and make more damage to his organization or his company. Okay, so it's about finding the vulnerabilities, fix them before an attacker can exploit them. Okay, some real world simulating And Pinterest can help uncover weak points in this configuration or applications, and also can strengthen your incident response and risk management. Uh, and nowadays, people use what we call EDR. Okay, for example, in such a big company of antiviral solution like Kaspersky, for example, they put such incident response and risk management service as something to pay for. Okay, so like a licensing thing to buy in order to have an automated incident response and risk management used by IA. You know, it's it's like you have an IA which is responsible for finding the risks and give to you a report about it. So let's start. What's the operating system? Well, we all have in our homes computers, Android, smartphone, the camera, etc. And this device is run on operating system. So an operating system can manage a device and allow it to application or navigate web. And we know some of the distros that are available, like Windows, Linux, and macOS. What is a network? A network it is connected is a group of connected devices like home servers. It share data and resources. And the common example of it is at home or our offices. It is, and of course the internet, because internet at historical, so it was an intranet, okay? Before we will have WW wide world. So nowadays we have another category of people which called a pirate attack or hacker. Pirates commonly refer to someone who leaks copies of documents. This is the old definition. Nowadays we call them cyber criminals because nowadays it's people want to make hacks into systems whenever for a personal or a profit gain or to make losses. Um, okay, so as we said, the pen test is simulating cyber attacks on systems. It helps define and fix vulnerabilities. It making a pen test help to find and make a proactive defense strategy. Well, Pinterest work on five main points, which are reconnaissance, scanning, exploitation, post-exploitation, and reporting. Reconnaissance, which is how you gather information about your target, which IP addresses he is using, services, and which number of ports are open. Scanning, uh, Scanning is about identifying the open ports and services and possible vulnerabilities. Well, the exploitation is another phrase which once it is launched, the target or the hacker he doesn't back down until he gets his target. Okay, so it means again this phase is a really critical because if a hacker or pirate gain access to a system or to a lab or to a network, it will be not easy for the organization or the company to continue her service. Cost exploitation is about the impact. Well, here maybe where you were aware of the last update happens in July by Microsoft, which was a glitched update sent by CrowdStrike. I don't know if you saw that in the media. Uh, I said about the glitch that happened. Okay. Like better, better. Test, test. I hope it's better now. Can you confirm that is good or bad, please? Okay. Okay, great. Uh, so we continue, guys. Okay. Thank you for your interview. Now, how I was saying how it works. So there is making pen testing. There is a phase, which is five phases: reconnaissance, scanning, exploitation, post exploitation, and reporting. It's gathering information. The first one, which is reconnaissance. Second one, which is scanning the open port services. Third one, which is exploitation, and here the pirate or the hacker is gonna make an action. Okay, and finally, which is reporting, and here it's about risk level or what we call risk assessment, and then the recommendation in order to avoid such incident. Okay, so uh, you see, do you see the screen at full screen, or just okay? It's all full screen. Good. So, of course, why it's important to make such pen test? Because pen test can reveal security gaps. Okay, can we can when we make a pen test, we can help to meet the compliance. I guess you are familiar with ISO 27001 or ISO 9006, which talk about the norms and the standards that must be in a company or organization. Okay, and of course, the most important thing is how to reduce the data breach or leaks. So, pen testing simulates real-world attacks to uncover vulnerabilities in a controlled way, which help to strengthen the system against future intrusion. So, intrusion is an attack. So, a hacker must exploit a weakness or a vulnerability in a system or atomic weapons behavior in order to gain access. Now, there is a vectors that a hacker can use in order to gain access. Okay, in that vectors we have, for example, the vulnerabilities that are available in operating system. For example, we have in an organization that old server which run with old version of, for example, Microsoft, like 2003, 2000, 2008, and it has operating system. It has an application on it with a license. This scenario is very common in organizations and companies. Okay, so making updates and making patching the OS is not always possible. If we take an example, Windows 7, it has no more patching updates since 2020. Windows 10 will have no updates, or the support of updates will end in 2025, and so on. There is some vulnerabilities too in application. For example, if we go for an application and we make it uh, now robust against, for example, SQL injection, says it's not uh, it's not it's not very healthy to have such solutions. So vulnerabilities in demo scripts. For example, we see a YouTube video how to install solution. Okay, and in some point, or we go for a default script, for example, that open too much ports. Okay, or a default ports that can be exploited. There is also a vulnerabilities in system and application configuration. If we take, for example, a firewall, okay, and we put some policies, for example, the first policy that came in a firewall will allow all traffic, inbound, outbound. Just after, we're gonna put a policy which is which is which gonna restrict more um, the traffic. But at firewalls we have a concept. The first rule is always the prioritized. For example, in Fortinet or Palo Alto, you will have such behavior. Okay, so the attacks vectors. Let's talk more about the OS vulnerabilities. Uh, Many of services and ports can be opened by default. It's like when you install, for example, the Windows at start, and you have the administrative share enabled. Okay, guys, you are following? Hello. Great. Okay. So, for example, like I said, there was in July 24 an update in Microsoft products that caused a BSOD, which is a blue screen of death, and we saw the impact, which was a worldwide impact. We saw airplane companies delaying their uh, their travels just because they can't organize things, or because they can't access to that server that has an application of the booking. Okay, so the risk of an unpatched system of vulnerabilities can be huge. It can go to the ransomware, data breaches. It can be, for example, like the WannaCry, which gonna simulate it just in the demo, using the exploitation of Eternal Blue. Once we get there, and also it can have a business consequence impact, money loss, downtime, the data loss, etc. The second attack vector, which is application level vulnerabilities. Uh, Very often, testing application it doesn't have the time, the needed time. You have a client who wants an application emergently. Okay, he needed in a time which is really limited. You go, you develop, you make an application, but you didn't test it well. And this can be a big problem because some problems can be escalated to RCU, which is remote code execution, or getting back the database from the application because the application didn't install a secure programmation method. For example, if you go for
Hello? I guess my microphone is dead. Sorry. It's a little battery. Okay, I hope it's better now. Great. Yeah, great. So we go for I was saying that attack vectors, we have application level vulnerabilities, which means whenever we do or we make an application, we have to follow a secured way in programming. Okay, we don't take, for example, APIs without a secure token. We don't go for a no licensing or um, we don't go for example, hashing the information, crypting the information in database. So just to avoid that a pirate or hacker get the data and make a leak. Okay. So another vector, which is the demo script or a program vulnerabilities. Nowadays, for example, in organizations, some vendors often provide demo files, and these demo files um, uh, can be used by hackers who knows that some vendors use these demo files. Let's see an examples of the scripting like these demo files. You have, for example, the WebLogic Oracle. It's been reported as a CVO in 2017. We have Apache Tomcat. It's a very known, a very known application. And we have PHP admin, which is the panel for every MySQL Mongo database. I guess PHP admin is very common. It's some some configuration of PHP admin can a pirate can use them in order to escalate sensitive information. Okay, so the final vector, which is a base configuration based vulnerabilities. I guess we are maybe if there is people here that used or trying to learn Linux. In some tutorials in YouTube, they put chmod 777 rather than making extended ACL, and this is very critical because giving such command or putting such a command is gonna open the authority of on the folder to all people, even even the anonymous. Okay. Now we have also the misconfiguration in such databases, web servers, and for example, if we go for databases, a fresh installation, it has a default credential like root or root without a password. Okay, a common operating system vulnerabilities too, which is administrative share. Nowadays, administrative shares can be escalated and can be used in order to gather data. Now, we're gonna see briefly the tools that we're gonna use in the lab, and we're gonna switch to the lab. Okay. So, in the tools, we have two main tools, which are Nmap tools. With Nmap refer to network mapper, it's very common and very popular tool. It can be used for scanning the ports. It can be used by a penetration tester, network administrator, system administrators, security ITs. It helps to discover host services and, of course, vulnerabilities. The useful scan types, we have the useful scan types in Nmap. For example, the ping sweep. It will help us to check which hosts are live. It's like you enter a network and you want to know the just the hosts that are live. Okay. We have another option for our map, which is the service scan, or what we call the. It helps us to. We know that every service works in a port number. We have, for example, a web service. It works at 80. Okay. We have, for example, HTTPS. It works at 443, and so on. Every service, it's binded to a port number. It can be manually updated, and there is a default value. Okay. Now, I'm listing here in this table the use of some of the command and the uses of Nmap, from stealth sync to aggressive scan and OS detection. Okay. So this here, we're gonna see it on the practical side more. Another tool that is so used, and it is an open source. It have two versions. It has the community edition and the enterprise edition, and it is used for penetration testing and helps to the development of signatures for intrusion detection system. Okay. Well, Metasploits have the possibility to detect vulnerabilities in target system, execute and develop such an exploit, also simulate a real-world attacks. The known component of a Metasploit, it has been developed by Ruby, which is a language, acts as both penetration testing tool and development platform. I guess maybe there is who are familiar too with the burp suit, or they have already heard about it. Hydra 2, John the Reaper for cracking and getting or making brute force attacks. Metasploit, in this presentation, I kind of put a highlighting on Metasploit and Nmaps because we're gonna use them in our lab. Okay. Here it's an architecture or Metasploit framework architecture. It explains how it works. It has a library and a part of interface and some plugins that make the base of MSF. Because if we once we arrive at the lab, we're gonna see that the Metasploit has already a referenced exploit or auxiliaries in his base. So they are ready, and we're gonna use them directly. What is an exploit and what is an auxiliary in Metasploit? So an exploit, it's a version, it's an aggressive version of auxiliary. Auxiliary can be used to enumerate or gather data information. Exploit is to gain access or control over target. Okay. And Metasploit offer both of these features. The risk level about the exploit is high. Okay. However, the auxiliary, as it is lower because it's safe for production targets. Okay. So most of them use the auxiliary uh, the auxiliary features in order to have ideas and get informations about the common vulnerabilities. Okay. Now we will have such scenario. This represents such a scenario, for example, of using Metasploit in order to exploit the SMB, which is Samba protocols. Okay, here we see that once we go at Metasploit, we can search for a common vulnerabilities or common exploits. We just type this command search and we give the name of the exploit, and he will get the information. Okay, so it's a database with referenced attacks or exploits, and yeah, it helps. So another point, which is how to make by an explanation of the demo that we're gonna do. We're gonna use a virtual box as a hypervisor. Okay, we will have a Kali Linux virtual machine, a Metasploit tool, and a vulnerable machine, Windows Server. We took Windows Server 2008 just for demo. Okay. Well, the topology of the lab is to be like that. Uh, as we have a hypervisor or a virtual box, we will have two machines. One running the Linux VM, the other one will run the Windows Server 2008, and we will have the Kali Linux. And using Nmap and Metasploit, we're gonna gather information and find the vulnerable ports, make an attack, create a user, make a backdoor, and stream it even what this guy here, Windows Server 2008, is making. Okay, so we go for the lab, and after that we will open a little window of discussion and questions. Okay, so now let's go for the lab. In that lab, we have, for example, I'm gonna use Oracle VirtualBox. Well, I set up already the VMs. Once, let's see, I'm gonna share with you this VMs once the session is ended. Of course, I prepared a scenario here, and in this scenario, we can go for a detailed scenario or simple scenario. A detailed scenario, it has more things to do. For example, simulating the Eternal Blue attack, the WannaCry attack, and it has more like making a remote desktop. Now, I made another command, another file. Yeah, this one. This file here, it is a full file, and it will enumerate all steps that we're gonna do, okay, in order to gain access, and of course, in order to see that a no patched machine is very, very dangerous and critical. So, well, we will start here by Kali Linux VM. Do you see the screen, guys? Guys and ladies, of course. Uh, great. First, VirtualBox, great. So here we have a Kali Linux machine, okay? Now, in this Kali Linux machine, well, let's see. Let's see whether. Oh, okay, no problem. We're gonna. Well, this is a plus. You will see how to reset the root password. Okay. Just in the startup, we just press E before the grab starts. Okay. And we go to this line here. Let me change the view to skeleton. Okay, great. Better like that, I hope. Okay, let's see. We go right here in this line. This maneuver is once you forget, for example, the root at your Kali Linux machine. We change this line here to RW white splash. Okay, we add this parameter which is init. Okay, beam splash, and we press Ctrl X in order to save. What's happened here? Didn't save. Sorry, I made an error. It's being bashed. Yeah, exactly. Now we just alter in the grab file. We just remove the RO to RW, which means read and write. So we have now the possibility of changing the password. By typing this command +WD, we will put a new password to our Kali Linux machine. Okay, great. Now we're gonna put the machine. Okay, great. At start, I couldn't log into this Kali Linux machine. So there is a procedure even in Red Hat, Rocky Linux. It differs from a distro to another. Now we go for Kali. I change the password, and we will see if we can access to this machine or not with the new password. And yes, we got access. So we go for that. We will see which IP address has. Here it says it's 10.02.15. Which mode we are in? NAT mode, which is not what we search for. Okay. Okay, let's start the Windows Server 2 configuration. Here we change it to host only adapter. Ah, great. It is only host only adapter. Metasploit. We go for host only adapter 2. So we have just this machine here. We have to put it on host only in order to be in the LAN, in the same LAN as Windows Server. By the way, this one here, this lab here is gonna simulate like a hacker who gained access already to the network. Okay, this one here is the Windows Server, which is the victim, and here is the Kali Linux. We're gonna shut down it in order to make it change in his right, machine preferences. Let's see. Okay, put your last content file. Okay, let's control part. We're gonna put this one at start too, which is Metasploit. This Metasploit will this Metasploit VM will simulate a Linux VM. Okay. Gonna start this one too. Device optimizer network. Okay, we have Kali Linux virtual machine set down. We're gonna change the adapter here to a host-only adapter. We're gonna put it on virtual host Ethernet adapter and change the MAC address here. And we start it again. For example, here in this virtual machine with the Metasploit, we change the view to scaled mode. Right. Look here. Log in with MSF admin to get started. This is what we said about default credential. So imagine you have this this operating system or this machine in your network, and there is a pirate who gained access to your network, and he detected there is this machine, and you let this default configuration. It will be a big breach. Okay, so now let's go to this Kali Linux. Okay, now we have. You see the screen, I hope. Yeah, good. Now let's see whether I can send Control Alt. So first of all, we got to Kali Linux, and we see whether the IP address has changed or not. We can see here the IP address is 21.5. Okay, let's assume that we are an attacker. Okay, we don't know all the machines available on the network. What we're gonna do is make what we call a scan using the Nmap. Well, in Linux or Kali Linux distro, we have this possibility is to use man and map. This command here, man, gonna provide us of a documentation how to use the nmap. Okay, we can say here nmap, and it says how to use nmap, which is network exploration tools, and the synapses that or the cases that can be used on it. Okay, we can use it also with nmap, then go for grep, for example, -sv. OS folder. For example, here nmap, in order to make for OS detection, we give him this parameters here, which is -e, okay, -o. Now we know that we are in this subnet, which is 192.168.21.5. Let's go for service scan SV and or silent scan at start 1/24. Here nmap, we go and send a query or packets to all the devices at the network, and only the app devices gonna respond. And here we're gonna have a listing of all the hosts that are up. Okay. For example, here we determined that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have like 5 devices that are up. Okay, 2101, 2102, 21.3, 21.4, 21.5. Well, the 21.1 is the gateway. Generally, in VirtualBox, we have like we put in, like we did here, we have this virtual switch. The virtual switch is our 20 is it has the address 192.21 168.21.1, okay, which is the gateway. Now, so we have all this. Now let's see whether we can ping to, yeah, good. So we can ping them all. Now we're gonna use nmap in order to know which operating system is running on this subnet. The first step is the reconnaissance, okay? Where? Yeah, I see. So the sense still here, after a lapse of time, we have these informations here. And these informations we can determine, for example, here that we have a machine which has Microsoft Windows. Okay, it's run Microsoft Windows 2008 and 8.1. So which one has this address? 21.5. Okay. It's the 21.4. So just find out that this machine, the 21.4, run on Microsoft Windows Server 2008. And we found that the second machine here runs a Linux version or Linux OS. This is the ports that are open in this machine, which is 21.3, 21.4, have 4.4.4.5, which gonna use it in order to exploit a vulnerability in the system. Let's see. Usually it's aggressive. It's an aggressive scan, which means it will be logged. So you must be smart in doing it. Okay. So now we determined that the machine that we can attack, and it has the port 445 open, is 21.4. Okay. Now let's go for MSF console. Okay, so we have a Metasploit. It's well, the current version here in Metasploit, it has like 2099 exploits, 1129 auxiliary, 357 bugs. So the commands that can be used, let's go for search here. And once we type the search command, we're gonna have more like a parameters to put. For example, here, search CDU 2009. So first we cannot search for N017. If we find it. Okay. Thank you for the search. I put some documentation here. I said, and all the targets. Go for search. 017. Okay. So if we go for search for MS017. Sorry. Oh, okay. Can use that. Well, in this file, there is scenarios of how to use the Metasploit here. And this one I will provide it to, but just to give you feedback. Let's go for search. Send Yes, this one it will give us. Yeah. Let's see here that we are looking for. Well, here we can see that there is, for example, here too much auxiliaries are related to Microsoft SQL servers, Oracle SMBs, Relay, and so on. What we can look for, there is uh, what can I look for? And, search. Okay. Well, search for the exploits. Uh, and grep, yeah, and 17, 010. Is it an auxiliary? Sorry, trying to find what I messed up here. Please exploits. And there's also 17, 17, that's all. Okay, this is not good. That's fine. I'm not charging for it. Okay, so here what we have. Exploit Windows and Blue PCs. They say no, Eternal Blue. This is it. So we're gonna take just the ID here, and we're gonna use this one here. Use line. Great. So we have here the payload. Sorry for taking too much time. Well, this vulnerability has been referenced like in 2017. Okay, this is why I said it is more for explaining that there is tools that are already set up and you just need to update them. Okay. Here we have the SME MS17010, which is eternal blue. It has been used in the WannaCry attack. Well, let's back here. We found the target. Now we lock on it. Okay, let's set our host 192.168.21.4. Let's set. Okay. You see this, guys? Hello? Hello? Okay. So in this, we're gonna launch the beta exploit and configure the eternal blue exploit. Okay. So in the first step, we find that the address of uh, the address of the Windows Server 2008 is 192.168.21.4 when we run the nmap scanning. Okay. Now we're gonna exploit it by changing, putting the air host, which is the target, and our Kali Linux address as a L host. It's side one, side two. Okay. Then we're gonna exploit. Well, let's launch another address. 21.5.7 L host. Now let's start as an exploit. It's 61.21.5. Okay, set switch. Okay. Last host. Host is a variable, but we can leave it for alpha. Okay. 5 as an L host. Okay, let's start the exploit. Target targets. Okay, I might made a mistake doing exploit in this one here. Change. Version grab. Mm. Search for. Well, I guess I'm making a mistake. Don't remember which exploit. Mm, Scaffold exploit. Windows. Oh, I don't have this one. Okay, this I see. I see. My company looks databases. Oh, let's see.